What is up, you guys? It's your boy Time 554. Time to play and watch the vid. Ain't doing that shit. Man, what's good, you bastard ass niggas? Today gonna react into how to beat the evil agency in The Killer. Mama Dog Nerd Explained. Check out Nerd Explains on YouTube. W content creator. No, W YouTuber. W very informative guy. Very funny. You gotta understand and peep for it to be funny. But he's very funny. Trust me, man. On that note, let's start with the vid. Yeah, boys, if you want to see change in your body in case you're like working out, whatever the fuck, eat healthy, bro. You eat all them chips and candy and shit. You eat all that junk food. Your acne will never go away. Your facial fat will never go away. The belly will never go away. You'll have those for an entire year. Trust me, eat healthy. I'm now like trying to eat right. Sorta. I'm now trying to eat right, and I'm lucky, so I'm trying to suppress my hunger. I gotta buy something to make me more full, but I'm trying to suppress my hunger though. Because damn. Oh, also do cardio. Drink a lot of water. Eat your greens and eat a lot of fruits. Type shit.
Hitman after you following a
Ad. I don't think
a botched assassination job, what would you do? In this line of work, you're either the trigger man or the target. And as our hero's about to find out, things can change in the blink of an eye. The only good news is that the bad guys won't be sending their best, because that would be him. And he's not about to take their attempt at forced retirement lying down. I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the agency in The Killer. Man, someone must have spent a lot of time thinking of that creative title. Alright, John Doe has it all planned out. Perfect disguise, the perfect vantage point, the perfect rifle. All that's missing is the mark. Just a part of the job, he thinks to himself. But after a week of living off McMuffins with no sign of the target, our expert assassin finds himself getting antsy. He even thinks about calling the whole thing off. However, just as our man's about to pick up his ball and bounce, he spots movement in the subject's apartment. Sure enough, a security detail marches in, secures the interior, followed by an older-looking gentleman, and he's not alone. Seeing his opportunity, John quickly assembles this breakdown bolty and lines up a shot. At this range, the subsonic round will hit with the energy of a handgun. That should still be plenty, so long as he can put it in just the right spot.
Simple.
Bullseye teaches her for gold digging. Hang on, I'm being told the target was actually the older dude. Although given the way John kept looking back at her, I could have sworn it was the other way around. Well, in that case, this was a colossal up on his part. Seriously, dude.
Yo. Nah. Cause pretty sure we all saw that. Bomb. You see that, right? Line of sight, clear, vision view. Right on his face.
Simple.
Where the fuck? Like, how do you even? Oh my god, man. We're not faster than a bullet, right? There's no way in hell she went from standing still to moving to the left in a matter of fucking .5 seconds, bro. There's just no way. And even nah. I just don't. I just can't believe that myself.
Actually, seriously, dude passed up on not just one, but two perfect shots because he couldn't hold a sight picture on a bench rest. Remember Captain Phillips?
Stop the toe. Execute.
See, that's what a real marksman is capable of. Granted, they were a bit closer, but their targets were rocking around on a boat. Oh, but my heartbeat was too fast. Please, Carlos Hathcock didn't need a Fitbit, and neither did you. If anything, he was just giving himself white coat syndrome by constantly checking back on it. Besides, it's not like we were setting a distance record here. We're talking less than 100 yards, and the fact that the bullet was traveling subsonic doesn't really mean anything. At roughly 1,050 feet per second, it would clear that gap in less than 0.3 of a second, which wouldn't be a problem as long as no one walked right in front of it. Wait, what's that? The person that was nearly blocking your shot to begin with got in the way and blocked your shot? Oh man, how could this have happened? Yeah, that's probably why you should have squeezed Trig the instant she stepped out of the way, instead of giving her time to work through her routine. That said, if we already knew we needed 6 years to work on a 2-stage, we should have just waited until she wasn't anywhere near him. I mean, we already spent a week here. What's another 10 minutes? I'm sure between fooling around with her and whatever else he had planned for this evening, we would have had another chance. And if not, oh well, John was already this close to canceling the operation anyway, which means he knew for a fact the world wouldn't end if this guy doesn't die today. Oh, that is, unless he almost dies today, in which case he'll almost certainly turtle up somewhere hard to reach for who knows how long, possibly even the rest of his life. It's not every day you watch a hooker get gunned down right in front of you, after all. Ultimately, this is exactly what happens, as John fails to land a follow-up shot in time to correct his mistake. Should have gone with the semi-auto, bro, or maybe instead of pulling your head from the scope for that reaction shot, you could have just racked another one into battery and handled business like a professional. Oh well, nobody's perfect.
Because even with the amount of time, because look, like he hasn't moved at all. Okay, a headshot wouldn't really be much in this scenario. You could shoot him once in the chest. It could possibly hurt him for a little bit. 'Cause I don't know how much bullet you have in that one round, in that one mag, that little clip, wherever the fuck. I don't know. I'm not a gun like nigga like y'all, but shoot him once in the chest. He drops down, or he can't really move, or he tries to move. But shoot him again in the leg, or someone that can slow him down, like to bring him to a complete stop. Once he stops moving, immediately shoot him. Immediately get your line of sight on his fucking dome and pop him right there. Like that's just me though. Cause once I fucked up on one kill. All right, for sure. All right, shoot him once. Let me stop. Let
Right?
me
It's pretty
relax.
much what our guy tells his extra pissed off handler before planes, trains, and automobiling his way back to his not so secret hideout in the Dominican Republic. However, just as he's about to cross over the property line, he notices a pile of cigarette butts beside a pair of footprints leading into the compound. And that can only mean one thing. Grabbing the Glock from his glove box, John cuts through the forest over to... Dude, hang on. That's your house? Yeah, no the agency was able to track you down. You live in a beachfront mansion in a third world country. If 4chan can find a single flag out in the middle of nowhere, I'm sure an international assassination company with untold technological resources could find a place like this. And you know who else could? The United States government, who also just so happens to have an extradition treaty with the Dominican Republic. It could use to lock you up whenever your continued existence becomes politically inconvenient. Obviously, the list of non-extradition countries where John wouldn't stick out like a sore thumb is not very long, but it's probably worth exploring, especially since the US is exactly where we'll be headed here in just a bit. Getting back to the house, John finds it empty, just still a bad sign considering he's supposed to be married, or at least he was. Judging by all the blood everywhere, I'd say there's a good chance he might be back on the market, and yet by some miracle, that's not the case. After heading down to a local hospital, our guy finds his lovely wife in a critical condition, but despite her numerous injuries,
Y'all boys. All I gotta say is whoever walked in my crib, okay, I think I saw like what, a good 6'5" cigarette butts. Wish I had me some glasses right now. They call him the Grim Reaper. You're doing all of this over a girl? They call him the Boogeyman. Well, bitch, I'm about to go John Wick. You got my wife, so I'm gonna take your life. Dumbass nigga, what the fuck? Sorry, but that's not how that works. You don't just I mean, you don't just. I mean, let me go to bro's crib, ransack whatever, and he's just not gonna do anything. Nah, man. Let me get my watches, body armor, best suit, whatever the fuck. It's time to go John Wick.
injuries, she was still coherent enough at one point to tell her brother what went down. According to his retelling of the incident, there was 2 intruders, a man and a woman, and it was clear that they were not here to rob the place. Evidently, the pair attempted to interrogate her for information about her husband, but the conversation was cut short after she managed to stab the male attacker in the leg and flee into the forest. Yeah, seems a little too easy if you ask me. Like, I'm sure they didn't intend for one of them to get stabbed. Think about it. You're hunting a human chameleon with the means and the know-how to effectively vanish off the face of the earth at a moment's notice. Instead of actively hunting him down only to be constantly one step behind, why not put his boo thing in the hospital to try and draw him out into the open? That's what I would do anyway. As a matter of fact, I'm surprised he even showed up here, given what an obvious play that is. I mean, this place can't even keep the lights on, for Christ's sake. It's not like they can afford a security detail. At the very least, you'd think he'd wait until she was transferred to the private hospital the doctor mentioned before coming to see her. And even then, sorry babe, but I'm kind of a big deal. And right now, the worst people in the world want my head on a pike. So, you know, get well soon. After all, what else can you really expect when you're married to Agent 47? Anyway, there's one last thing I forgot to mention. Apparently, she saw the intruders leaving in a green car with a light on it, like a taxi. As it turns out, is exactly what it was.
Man, if I see my wife like that, bro, I'm sorry, bro. Anybody that gets in my way of trying to, especially that agency, first of all, you're already trying to kill me. Then you think you came to my crib and did my wife like this, and I gotta look at it like this in the hospital? Yo, bro, the rage will be so fucking unreal, bro. Like, I'm sorry, bro. I wouldn't go like ballistic. I wouldn't crash out, but I would crash out, but just in the hitman sense, you know? Like, I'm not gonna do anything. Everything it's a plan. You're all gonna. I'm playing. It's done, bro.
Right. The highly trained international assassins took a cab to the place where they intended to murder somebody. This, of course, is going to come back to haunt everyone involved in a major way, starting with the taxi driver himself. After asking nicely over at the cab company, John gains access to their records and finds the specific driver that went to and from his house. The following day, he comes back to stake out the place until he spots the mark, at which point he tails the man to his first stop and enters the cab while posing as a fare. Obviously, Leo couldn't have known today was about to go sideways, but even after the guns...
Whoa, hold on. Why are we about to clap Leo?
He tails the man to his first stop, stake out the place until he spots the mark, at which point he tails the man to his first.
I'm just watching them, saying they about to clap. About to do a rondo. Oh, what the fuck? Hold on.
Stop and enters the cab while posing as a fare. Obviously, Leo couldn't have known.
Damn, that is crazy. Give me 1 second, y'all boys. What up, bitch, nigga? Let's go smoke a fucking cart. What the fuck? That's funny, bro. Hold on, I'm coming. Give me 1 second. Shit. So that's my fucking barber, dog. Alright, back to the mission at hand.
Today was about to go sideways, but even after the guns come out, he still has a chance to turn things around. Fans of the channel will know that I'm a big proponent of always wearing your seatbelt while in a moving vehicle, which, as you can see, John doesn't seem all that worried about. In that case, our driver could just jerk the wheel into oncoming traffic, or even one of these telephone poles to buy himself a chance to escape while the would-be assassin is busy peeling his face off that divider. Sure, it's no slam dunk, and he could easily get shot in the process, but like it or not, he has to do something here, or this is guaranteed to be a one-way trip. Fact is, no one who can afford a silencer is out robbing taxi cabs. And even if Leo is worldly enough to recognize that it's actually an oversized muzzle brake, once the gunman starts pumping him for information on the strange fare he had recently, it should be clear he's gotten himself involved in some seriously messed up shit, the kind that leaves behind a lot of body bags. Furthermore, regardless of whether he's actually the one driving, right now, the attacker's taking him to a second location, and you know what that means.
I get out and I leave the keys. I walk back.
I take it that's a no? Oh well, it was a boring conversation anyway. All our hero managed to extract before raising the homicide rate was a description of the attackers. Some big jacked dude and a Q-tip looking chick, as well as the fact that they went back to the airport after leaving his property. Wait, they just left after all that? What a massive wasted opportunity. Like I said before, the easiest thing to do would have been to simply post up in or around the hospital while waiting for their target to come check on his wife. You're telling me they just shrugged their shoulders and gave up once she got away? Like, I get that one of them was wounded and all that, but still, that doesn't mean they both had to leave, and it would even be better for OPSEC purposes if they came and went separately. Well, whatever. The important thing is that we have a degree of confirmation it was really just the two of them, and that they seemingly fled the country when it was all over. Although, I'd still be looking over my shoulder until I knew that for sure. In any case, John's next move is to hop onto a plane to New Orleans, where he makes a stop at one of his tactical storage units before heading into the city to meet with an old friend. Piggybacking off a FedEx driver, he gains access to the office of one Professor Hodges, which just goes to show you that no amount of passive security will save you if there's no one around to actively enforce it. All Hodges had to do was hire a single no-neck security guard to stand by the door, and John's social engineering attempt would have fallen flat on its face. Also, side note, it wasn't until I watched through this again that I realized it was actually John who sent this particular package while still in the Dominican Republic. Gotta say, that's pretty clever. Not only did this guarantee there would be a delivery, the tracking info would let him know roughly when to expect it. All you contract killers out there, take note. Ultimately, John's little ruse catches Hodges completely off guard, which is pretty crazy once you realize this guy's the one who's been managing his particular set of skills, as well as that not-so-dynamic duo sent to rub him out for blowing the last job. In that case, he would have to have known that John was still alive, and likely very off. So I gotta wonder why he didn't think to beef up his security measures beyond a pair of locking glass doors in anticipation of a meeting just like this one. At the very least, he should have brought on a personal assistant that can handle a firearm. Right here, while John almost has his back turned, as long as Dolores had a sub 2-second draw to first shot, the standard benchmark for concealed carriers in the United States, there's no possible way John could react in time to stop her from blowing his brains out. Doesn't matter how good you are. You can't beat biology. Of course, once he has her tie them both up, it's pretty much game over, which is why I honestly can't believe Hodge would allow it to happen. I mean, the god movie is called The Killer, for sake. You think he came by for an apology? Well, either way, Hodges doesn't offer one. He pretty much says something to the effect of, no offense, but with all due respect, it's nothing personal. Along with a few other disingenuous platitudes people really love to hear when you screw them over. Naturally, this has a profound effect on John and convinces him to reevaluate his homicidal intentions.
You'll drown, Sully, and I'll dispose of you.
In terms of information, the only thing John learned from their conversation before letting the air in is that it was the angry client from the last job who ordered the hit. Fortunately, Hodges...
I've never understood, like, why is he going... Like, bro, man, you did me dirty, bro. I've never understood people who think they can just... Shit is just gonna slide. We just gonna let shit slide, bro. It's not how the world works, buddy. If you know, you know, man. People don't let shit slide, man. That's not how that works.
Wasn't the only one running this operation. And all Dolores asks in exchange for access to Hodges' old Rolodex is that she doesn't get disappeared, so her family can cash in on her life insurance. Okay. At any rate, the pair loads Hodges into the recycling bin and heads for the elevator, where Dolores passes up on a prime opportunity to self-rescue, or at least attempt it anyway. Here we see John wedging himself into the back corner behind the can while Dolores' path to the door is unobstructed. Seeing this, once the elevator stopped to allow the other two passengers on board, I would have bolted for the opening just as the doors were about to close, while calling him a murderer. At that point, John would have to either blow his cover by drawing his gun or chasing us down, or played off like we're crazy and then vanish for a while. My bet's on the latter, as he'd otherwise have to waste these two corpos as well, and that'd draw quite a bit of unwanted attention onto his little revenge quest. At minimum, I'd expect her to try mouthing "help me" to one of the other passengers or something. Seriously, why would you not risk your own life to save your own life? Especially when you know it's curtains the second you enter this guy's van. Besides, if all she wants is for her body to be found, earning yourself a public execution by fighting back in front of others will almost certainly accomplish that. Ultimately, Dolores holds up her end of the bargain and takes John back to her house to find the info, after which he holds up his end. What a nice guy.
Shit.
Now armed with the assassin's contact info, John road trips over to Tampa to visit the hit squad in Vail Pass. Here we find the Brute, henceforth known as Florida Man, just as he and his buddies are heading out to the local casino / gentleman's club to lose all their cash as quickly as possible. For real though, I don't think you could literally burn money as quickly as you could spend it in a place like this. After what I can only imagine was about 25 minutes, the gang emerges from the club and heads back to Florida Man's house to drop him off for the night, thereby lending our guy the perfect opportunity to strike. Or so he thinks. Whatever the case, John begins his assault by incapacitating the target's pit bull with a ZzzQuil-laced hamburger, which is exactly what someone will do if they're determined to break in. Only, they'll probably using.
I love dogs, but man, oh my god, yo, some animals are just annoying, but I love them with all my heart, bro. It's so weird, bro. Like I wanted to be a veterinarian when I was like a kid. I wanted to be a lot of things when I was a kid. The veterinarian was one of them. Bro. I just loved animals, man. It's like, god damn, annoying ass bastards. But they're like, but they're like this, this, this. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man.
Antifreeze. Not saying your guard dog is useless by any means, but you should probably supplement your home security with a quality alarm system if you can afford it, and Florida Man most certainly can. Too bad he still doesn't lock his front door. That's right, the international assassin who just recently botched an assassination attempt on another international assassin doesn't lock his doors at night. Then again, maybe he was hoping for a surprise visit. I guess it figures this couldn't be easy. Still, John's lucky Florida Man was not armed right.
Hold on. When I see that, bro, it's like, what's up? Like, yo, I hate people who think they like. I think he's bigger than him. I'm not so sure. I hate like people who go like this when you're on the ground. Like on some USC, yo, bro. Certain things, but like, I'm never gonna to fight in my life, but it's like I would be so aware, bro. You know how I'm playing. Like, it's like, bro, like, man, like, I just hate certain things, bro. Things like that, it's like, yo, nah, this man really tried to do me. Like, look at this.
I guess it figures this couldn't be easy. Still, John's.
Nah, man. We're not having that.
Lucky Florida Man was not armed right there. But, like, why the hell not? Once again, you just got home from brutally torturing the wife of somebody who kills people for a living. I'd have a gun waiting in every room for this exact scenario. I mean, I already do, but, you know, bigger ones. And even if Hodges didn't bother mentioning John's occupation, which would have been incredibly stupid on his part if that were true, Florida Man should have at least been aware of the fact that failing an assassination attempt could very well make him a target himself, in which case he shouldn't even be here right now. But alas, here we are. And after a long and over-the-top Punisher-esque fighting sequence wherein both men would have easily beaten each other to death 3 times over, Florida Man finally decides to retrieve a firearm, which is, of course, a stock standard 19 by God 11, because 2 world wars. Unfortunately for him, no amount of stopping power in the world can save you if you're still gonna fall for the oldest coolest trick in the book, giving John a chance to scoop up his Glock and settle this matter once and for all. Guess let just about anyone become an assassin these days. And that definitely goes both ways here, because John's whole plan was downright sloppy from the very beginning. What, you're just gonna stage a basic burglary on someone you know is almost certainly armed and extremely dangerous? Not only would that be giving him the home court advantage, John didn't even stake the place out long enough to make sure the dude actually lived alone. Imagine going through all that hand-to-hand BS just to get popped in the back by the Mark's live-in girlfriend or elderly mother or whoever. Point is, John should never have set foot in that place, especially after hearing the chime on the door saying,
Moral of the story, my dog got lucky, man. Cause he really cut and got right here, right then, man. I know, like you think for a hitman, he would know, like. Then again, I wasn't really paying attention to that. If you're like me, a viewer, no, we're not looking into that shit, bro. But if you're looking in depth, bro, yeah, he should have been more like precautious, because you could have got him out. All right, cool, whatever. Gone to the ground, whatever. Boom, his girlfriend pops out the cut. Over with. End of story. Credits, roll the credits, scene, movie over. 3-star. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man.
sensor go off. That's probably what gave him away in the first place. Instead, I would have grabbed another rifle setup like the one we had back in Paris, and post up across the street inside a rental car. From there, we could either wait until he comes outside on his own, or give him a reason to poke his head out. As we saw earlier, Florida Man works out on his front yard, which would be the perfect time to nail him. Otherwise, I'd shoot out a window on one of his cars to set off the alarm. Dude doesn't strike me as the kind of guy to leave it to the cops, so I'd say there's a pretty good chance we'd catch him waving that 45 around while still in his underwear. Bonus points if we can zap him through the glass as he's looking out the window. And before you say the alarm would draw too much attention, let me ask you this. When was the last time you went and checked out a car alarm that wasn't your own? 99.9%
What was that, man?
time you went and checked out a car
That's Venom, man. We are Venom. Come on, man.
alarm that wasn't your own. 99.9% of people would hit the button on their fob and go right back to bed without even looking. In fact, the biggest problem with this plan is that Florida Man probably would too, in which case we would wait a few seconds and shoot out another window to set it off again. Of course, ham-fisted though it might have been.
BRB. Hell no. Some food. You always explain this at the fucking third. There's no one out here still there. going away, jungle. Oh, sorry. Yo, hey, y'all boys, check out this Dominican restaurant. It's called. Fuck, I forgot. I ain't gonna hold you on. It's called Que Lo Que Dominican Restaurant. W, bruh. Oh my god, a W. Boy, I'm telling you, W. Hold on.
John's approach did still get the job done, and after dodging the doggo and setting the place on fire, he hops on a plane to LaGuardia to cross off Thing 2. Eventually, we find ourselves in a peaceful New York suburb, where we meet the expert. Or at least that's what they call her in the credits. We'll see about that. For now, I'm just gonna call her Q-Tip, because it turns out the cab driver's description was pretty much spot on. You know, for an assassin, she doesn't really make much of an attempt at blending in, does she? Like, I get nothing about her appearance necessarily screams murder for hire, but in any kind of covert operation, the key to staying alive is to remain as unremarkable as possible. Case in point, John was able to identify her immediately based solely on a brief description of her unusual hairstyle. All that's left to do now is put her in the ground. And just like before, John opts for the direct approach.
Wait.
No talking.
Off-body carry strikes again. That's some expert, all right. Seriously though, $100 appendix holster, and this would have been a drastically different conversation. Granted, it'd be more Inglorious Bastards than Han vs. Greedo, but I'll take a gunfight over a shooting any day of the week. At the very least, you'd think she'd react a bit more decisively to someone grabbing at her purse, knowing her one and only firearm was rattling around inside it. Even then, it probably wouldn't do her much good considering she'd still have to fish it out of there faster than John could draw his own. Still, Q-Tip's not hosed yet. After all, it's pretty obvious she knows the staff well, to the point that they automatically bring out food based on what they think she might like, and it doesn't exactly take Inspector Callaghan to realize something's wrong. Think about it. Some dude with a up face sits down across from her, doesn't order anything, and suddenly she's lost her appetite. Sure, it's not enough to call the cops by itself, but I gotta believe the waiter is clocking him. In that case, her best and really her only option at this point is to behave wildly out of character in the hope that someone gets the hint. Like ordering something on the menu they know she doesn't like or is allergic to, or referring to the head chef by the wrong name when she's probably known him for years. Better yet, she could ask for the check and tip $9.11. Yes, these are all extremely subtle things that could potentially go unnoticed, but that's precisely the point. As Cotton Swab herself points out, John could waste her right there in front of God and everybody and likely still vanish without a trace,
funny,
meaning the only thing keeping her alive right now is purposeful compliance. However, instead of doing literally anything to signal the waitstaff, or fighting back, or simply stalling for as much time as possible on the off chance someone in the restaurant randomly develops telepathy, Q-Tip opts to accompany John out into a dark, secluded walkway right by the riverbank. Yeah, it doesn't get much more obvious than that. Although the lady assassin's attempt at deception certainly comes close.
Help a girl up, won't you?
Well, I can't blame her for trying. That said, she would have had a better chance of surviving if she went for the water instead. Not a good chance, but a better one. She still likely would have gotten shot a couple times, and hypothermia is guaranteed, but it beats serving up a headshot, especially given the way John was deliberately hanging back to keep his gun out of reach. Well, that's it for Murder Inc. However, we're not done just yet. John still has one last stop to make before his revenge arc is complete. To that end, he boards yet another plane bound for Chicago, Illinois, home to one H. Claiborne, the very client who ordered the botched job back in France, as well as the dismal failure in the Dominican Republic. It really is hard to find good help these days. At any rate, through a combination of social engineering, sleight of hand, and a $20 Amazon Amazon fob copier that you too can purchase for your own nefarious purposes, John gains entry into Claiborne's lavished penthouse apartment. Basically, the dude made his building so smart, he made it stupid, which is why it only took a single afternoon of John following him around at the gym to bring us to the final confrontation. Seriously, one dumb deadbolt and our guy would still be scratching his head in the hallway right now. So, Hodges got nailed. Dolores got her neck snapped. The driver, the expert, and the brute all caught a bullet. Knowing all that, one can only imagine the horrors awaiting the man who set this whole mess into motion. Well, maybe. According to John, it all depends on what happens during their meeting, starting with Claiborne's explanation.
I was told that things had gone sideways. My response was, nobody's perfect.
Somehow, I doubt it. However, it appears as though John is totally buying Claiborne's story about being upsold on a so-called insurance policy by the late Hodges. Moreover, the fact Claiborne seemingly has no idea why John would even break into his home in the first place convinces him the billionaire's murder by proxy has no idea what went down in the Dominican Republic, let alone that John's wife got dragged into it. And to that I say, who the cares? John's killed countless people for less, I'm sure, and he's seriously going to let this slimeball walk because he claims ignorance? Oh no, it's totally fine, because John totally threatened him really super good, and so he'll know to back off. As if that even makes sense. I mean, think about it. Let's say Claiborne really had no idea who John was or why he was there. Well, he certainly does now. What's more, now he has even more of a reason to want the man dead. Dude literally held him at gunpoint and threatened to poison his favorite coffee mug with a radium or whatever. If I'm Claiborne right now, there's absolutely no way I'd be able to sleep until I had this guy's head in a mason jar. And I would immediately seek out another contract agency to make that happen. Ideally, one staffed by people who don't take taxis to target locations, or leave their doors unlocked at night, or keep their guns sitting loose inside of handbags. And yes, I heard John's half-baked social commentary about how the police investigates crimes in proportion to the victim's net worth. Well, that Mark back in France wasn't exactly begging for change, now was he? Point being, there's absolutely no legitimate reason why John should let this guy live, and yet he totally does. Boy, it's a good thing he left his gravely injured wife unprotected hundreds of miles away to sort this out. God damn, I think I need a drink. In the end, John and his wife will get to enjoy retirement in the same tropical paradise wherein she was nearly murdered. And everyone involved in the assassination attempt got what was coming to them, except for the one guy who was truly responsible for it. That said, had John followed our advice, he probably would not have found himself in this mess in the first place. And once things went south, we could have helped him avoid a serious kicking at the hands of Florida Man, as well as stopped him from ultimately dooming himself and his wife by sparing Claiborne. For that reason, I think the killer was beaten. Moral of the story, always tie up loose ends.
WVID.